So Nun Amud Beis. This is a few lines from the bottom. Omer Rav Yehuda, Shachach v'yichnis eichel l'seich pi b'lei bracha. A person forgot to make a bracha, and he already has the food in his mouth. So he says, Misalkim l'tzadech and mavarach. You put the food on one side in your cheek, and you make the bracha. Tanya Idach, but another brisa says, Bailan, you actually swallow it. Tanya Idach, and a third brisa says, Pultan, you spit it out. You spit it out, and then you make a bracha, and then eat it again. Tanya Idach, and then the fourth is Misalkan. So like Rabbi Yehuda says. So Rabbi Yehuda is like one of these three brises. The question is, how do we reconcile these three brises with each other? So the Gemara says, Lekasha, Adatanya Bailan, when we say that you can swallow it even though you didn't make a bracha, the mashkin, that's talking about drinks. So there you can't spit it out because you won't be able to eat it again. V'hadatanya poltan, that which we say that you spit it out and you eat it after your bracha, b'midi delay mimis. The things that don't get disgusting after you spit it out. It could also have to do with how much you've chewed it. How much you've chewed it, the kind of food. It's a subjective question. Maybe also depends on you. What you can stand. V'hadatanya, and that which we learned, misalkan, that you just stick it in your cheek, b'midi de mimis. That's something that will not be edible if you spit it out. B'midi de loy mimis, the Gemara asks, b'midi de loy mimis, nami lislakinu l'tzarecha v'livrech. Even if it's not going to be gross, why don't you put it in one of your cheeks and make the bracha? Why do we make you spit it out? Tir Gemara Rav Yitzchak kaskasa k'meid Rav Yosi bar Avin mishmeid Rav Yechana mishum shnemer yimale pi tehilasecha. Because the pasuk says, my mouth will be full of your praises. So when you make a bracha, you shouldn't have anything else in your mouth. That's the preferable way of doing it. So that's why we only allow you to keep the food in one cheek if there's no alternative.
That should apply for people in shul if they're
chewing gum
or candies in their mouth.
Right.
Shouldn't do that when they're davening.
Okay, that's true. Yeah. Maybe dentures is okay though. Bo minei mirav chistam. Misha achal v'shasa v'loy beirach mo'shi achzer v'varach. Let's say you ate, you didn't make a bracha. What do you do now? Should you make a new bracha for the rest of the meal? So you're in the middle of the meal, not at the end. A person who ate garlic and he stinks, you should eat more garlic as a remedy. So here too, if you made the mistake of not making a bracha for the first half of your meal, we're not going to encourage you to, continue that mistake by not making a bracha on the second half of your meal. So of course you should make a bracha for the rest of your meal. So Ravina takes it to the next step. Even if you're finished the meal, there's nothing else to eat, you should make the bracha after you finished eating. Why? What's his proof? The Tanya, we find something similar. A Balkari, a person who had a nocturnal emission. So back in the old days, he wasn't allowed to learn Torah, he wasn't allowed to make brachas, so he had to go to the mikveh first. So Taval, if he went to the mikveh, V'Allah, and he comes out, Aimer B'Eliyasai, Baruch Asher Kedishon Mitzvoisav Etzivana Latfila. He makes the bracha after he's in the mikveh. So just like there, he makes the bracha after he's finished. So Ravina wants to say, when you finish your meal, there's nothing else to eat, you also make a bracha, even though you're not going to continue eating. So the Gemara says, no, that doesn't work. V'lohi. Ha-sam me'ikara gavralei chazi. There, you have to make a bracha afterwards, because in those days, you weren't allowed to make a bracha if you're a Valkyrie.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
You're talking about, you forgot to make a bracha the first time around when you started eating, a moitzi, for example. Now you finished eating, and now you make the bracha. You're talking about a bracha achrona here?
No. Oh, bracha b'shayna. Bracha b'shayna. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that could have made that more clear. We're talking about a bracha rishayna. So whether it's a shahakol, mezainas, bayir piragafen, any of the brachas rishayna is for food. So Ravina is suggesting you make your bracha rishayna after you're finished, even though you're not eating any more food. And then he wants to compare it to the going to the mikvah for a balkari. And the Gemara says no. There he couldn't make the bracha. Hachamekar gabrachazi. Here he was supposed to make the bracha before he was eating. Boil and once he missed it. The fact that he ate, he can't make the bracha rishayna after he's finished. He would make the bracha achrayna, right? In this case, where you ate a meal and you didn't make a bracha rishayna, of course you'll make a bracha achrayna, but the bracha rishayna is lost unless you got more to eat. Tana Rabbana. We learned in a brisa, so this is more health related. Asparagus, according to Rashi, is not an asparagus like the vegetable. It's a kind of drink, mostly made out of wine, but they also have in there cabbage. You soak cabbage into the wine. So this drink is yafa l'leiv. It's good for your heart. V'toiv le'inaim, good for your eyes. V'kol shekin le'bnei mayim, and it's also good for your intestines. V'aral gobay, and if you have a lot of this drink, yafe l'chol gufay, it's good for your whole body. But if you drink too much, you get drunk from this asparagus drink, kashe l'chol gufay, and it's bad for you. So the Gemara says midikani yafa l'leiv. It says that it's good for your heart. Michal de bechamra skin. We must be talking about something that's wine based, right? The asparagus, I guess it wasn't apparent that it's wine based, but the fact that it says it's good for your heart must mean it's wine based. Viktani v'kol shekain lebnei mayim. And the brisa says that this wine-based drink is good for your intestines, but that doesn't agree with another brisa that talks about wine. But Tani, we learned in a different brisa. Lilat yafem. Lilat stands for leiv. It's good for your heart, ayin, and tchol, and for your spleen. So this wine drink is good for all of those things. L'ramat kashet, but it's bad for the reish is your head, your rosh. Mem is ma'im is your kishkas, and the taf is tachtainis is your bowels. So it's bad for your ma'im, it's bad for your intestines, and the other brisa is saying that the wine is good for your intestines. So make up your mind. So the Gemara says kitanya he. When we say it's good for your kishkas, b'miyushin, it's old, at least 3 years old, then it's good for your ma'im. Kidetnan, we learned kainam yain shanitayim. We want to bring a proof here that it's good, that old wine is good. So here's another brisa. It says a person says, I'm making a neder, I will never drink, I'll never taste wine ever again. Why? Shayain kashel b'nei mayim, because wine is bad for my intestines. So then this is a fellow, he's trying to be healthy, he's trying to take care of his intestines. So they said to him, Amrulai but old wine, if it's 3 years old at least, is good for your kishkas. So what are you making these nadarim for? Vishal sak, and he's quiet. So what happened to this fellow? Asur b'chadash mutter b'miyushin. Because he stated his intention, he doesn't want to have wine because it's bad for his mayim, for his intestines. So then it'll only be usher. He'll only be usher with the kind of wine that's bad for his intestines. So here we see clearly the difference between old and new wine. Shema minah. And that's how we can reconcile the brises we started off with. If it's old wine, it's good for your intestines. Tan Rabbanan. We learned in a brisa, Shisha dvarim namru be'aspargus. There's 3 things they say about the way you drink this drink, asparagus, which is, again, cabbage soaked in wine. Cabbage soaked in wine. Ein shoisin oisai ela kishuhu chai. You only drink it without diluting it with water. Humale. You want to make sure the cup is full to the top, like kiddush. Mekable biyamin. When you accept it, you should accept it with your right hand. Vishaiseu b'smile, and drink it with your left hand. So that's like more. Once you get into these hand business, you know, it has something to do with demons, right? It's not going to affect obviously the content of the liquid. You're not supposed to talk after you drink this. You don't stop while you're drinking it. You drink it straight up. ela lemisha nasnala, and you only give the cup back to the fellow who gave it to you in the first place. So again, these are all demon-related stuff. V'rak acharav, you spit after you finish drinking. You're supposed to spit. Vein saim chanaisai ela b'minai, and you only eat after you drink this type of thing. Only things that are of the similar ingredients that were in the asparagus. So eat cabbage or have grapes or more wine or something, right? Tanya, so the Gemara says that's not true. Ein seimcha noiseh b'pasta. You should only continue eating bread after you have this asparagus drink. So make up your mind. Do you eat things of similar ingredients or do you eat bread after? It depends what the base of this drink is. You can have it one where the base of it is wine, and then you should eat bread afterwards. And then the one where we said you should eat minai, things of similar ingredients, is b'shichra, is where the base of it is beer. So there's two types of asparagus drink that we're talking about.
I think the beer you should eat bread because it's grain, like barley.
Right. Yeah, I know.
And then the wine you
I'm not sure how they made their shichra back then, because they always talk about date beer. But anyway, the shichra is something that we say you should only have things of similar ingredients afterwards.
Date beer should eat dates. Fig beer should eat figs.
Exactly, right. So I'm not even sure what kind of beer we're talking about. So the Gemara asks, Tani Chada. So we have a stira. In one brayse it says, Lila'at yafeh. This asparagus drink is good for your heart, your eyes, and your spleen. Liramat kasha, and it's bad for your head, your intestines, and your bowels. And another brayse says Liramat yafeh lila'at kasha. Another brayse says it's good for your head, your intestines, and your bowels, and it's bad for your head, your intestines, and your bowels, and it's bad for your heart, your eyes, and your spleen. So we see that these two brises do not get along. They're opposites of each other. Like so the same thing. One is the base of the drink is wine, one the base of it is beer. So the one that's made out of wine is good for your heart, and etc. And the one that's made out of beer, it's good for your head, etc. Tani Chada. We learned in a brayse, Raka Charav Loke. If you spit after you drink it, it's bad for you. The other is opposite. If you don't spit, it's bad for you. So when are you supposed to spit, when you're not supposed to spit? Like If it's wine based, you're not supposed to spit. And if it's beer based, then you should spit. Now that we heard this halacha or whatever, this medical advice, that if you don't spit, you're going to get into trouble. You're going to be harmed. You can spit even in front of a king, and certainly in front of your rav or anything like that. Omer Rabbi Shmuel ben Elisha, he says, Shloisha dvarm sachli Suriel sarhapanim. This angel, who's very chashav, told me, Al titol chalukcha b'shachris miad hashamish v'tilbash. Don't take your shirt in the morning from your servant, if you happen to have one. Rather, you should just take it yourself wherever it's sitting. If it's on the floor, on a chair, don't take it from anybody else. Don't do Natilas Yadayim from someone who didn't do Natilas Yadayim himself. So if someone's going to pour the water on your hands. And don't give the cup for this asparagus drink only to the person who gave it to you in the first place. That's a name of a group of demons. V'amri la istalgis. That's another name. Shal malachi chabala mitzapim lo l'adam v'amri masi avayadam lidei echon midvar malala v'ilache. So these demons say, when is a person going to make this mistake? And he's going to all be mine. I'm going to catch him. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. He says, Shloisha dvarm sakli mal chamavis. The angel of death told me three things. Al tito chaluk chavishachar spin shamish v'tilbash. Same thing. Don't take your clothing in the morning, your shirt from the guy from anybody else. Val tito yadecha mimishloy natal yadav, natilas yadayim from someone who didn't do natilas yadayim. Val tam lifnei anashim b'shash shachayzris min a mace. And here's another thing. He says again, this is not for a tznius issue. This is more of a demonic issue. Don't stand in front of women when they're coming back from the levaya. Don't stand in front of the women when they're coming back from the levaya. Because I'm there. The Malchamava says, I'm with those women, and I have a sword, and I'm allowed to hurt people. And if you just happen to bump into these women who are coming back from the Levaya, and now you're afraid, what should you do to save yourself? Linshuf miduchte arbamas. You should jump 4 amas. That could be 8 feet. That's a bit much for some people.
Maybe do it 2 times.
Yeah, maybe do it in 2 times. Okay. V'ika nahara le'avrei. If there is a river, you should pass over it. V'ika darka achrina le'zelba. If there's a different way you would get home ordinarily, then take the other way. V'ika gudaleko achayra. If there's a wall, stand behind it. V'iloi, if you can't do any of these things, there's no river, there's no wall, le'adera pe v'lema, you should turn your face around and say the following pasuk. V'yomer Hashem l'satan yigar Hashem b'cha. Hashem says to the Satan that Hashem will yell at you. Ad chalfi mine, until all the ladies pass and you don't have to worry anymore.
Does that include your wife? Or a significant other?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we're talking about like if there's women and then there's men and then there's like a bunch of women coming back from the Levaya.
The professional mourners, maybe, who are hired to wail or something?
No, I think it's just a group of women. No, nothing special. But again, it's probably on the same level of what to worry about, like the other items that Rabbi Yishuv ben Levi said.
What's the status of these?
I don't think they made it into the Shulchan Aruch, so I can't really tell you in terms of what it is the halacha. But anyway, yeah. Amar Rabbi Zeir v'Amar Rabbi Bo v'Amri Lab Masnisitano Asar Dvarim Nemru b'Koyesh al Bracha. 10 things they say about a Koyesh al Bracha. We're talking about the Koyesh al Bracha that they used to use for benching. Every time they benched, even a guy by himself who had lunch by himself would have a kois yayin, preferably a kois yayin with his benching. So there's 10 rules. Ta'un hadacha, you've got to wash it. Ushtifa, rinse it inside. Chai, the wine is supposed to be undiluted. Umale, full to the top. Itur, we'll see what that means. Itur just means crowning, literally. Ituf is wrapping. Noitle b'shtei yadav, take it with both your hands. Nois b'yamin, put it in your right hand. Magvir min akarka tefach, at least a tefach off the floor, or the table, I guess. But noisin navoy, and you should look at the wine while you bench. V'yesh aimrim, they didn't have benchers. I guess looking at the wine. V'yesh aimrim af mishagar matan l'ancheveisai, and some say you should send it to your wife after you finish, so she should get some of the koyesh bracha. Rabbi Yechanan, anu ein lanu ella arba. We only have four requirements for the koyesh bracha for benching. Hadacha shtifa chai male, rinsing it inside, rinsing it outside. It should be undiluted and full to the top. The Gemara explains these different qualities. Tana hadacha mi bifnim shtifa mi bachutz. That's the rinsing. One is referring to rinsing the outside of the cup. The inside. And one is referring to rinsing the outside. This is only if the cup is dirty. If you're taking the cup, after it's been cleaned last week, and you're taking the cup out for Shabbos or whatever it is, you don't have to.
Some people rinse it anyway.
Taisva says here if it's dirty, if there's like pieces of something floating in there or whatever. I mean, the truth is, if you have wine from someone else's kiddush and you just want to add more, I don't see why. It's a clean cup. You just don't want to waste the wine.
Isn't in Shulchan Aruch there's something that should rinse it before you make kiddush, so there'll be absolutely no concern in your mind that there is some dust that you didn't see. So if you always rinse the kiddush,
it's just a hiddur mitzvah, right? You want to have a nice lulav and esrog. You want to have a nice cup when you make kiddush or benching, right?
That's right.
So if the cup looks clean to you, I don't know if you have to worry about specks of dust that you can't see. But anyway, especially the wasting wine is usually something, like we said before, even you swallow the drink and then you don't bother making a bracha at all. It stands to reason that you shouldn't waste the wine if you have half a cup from someone else's kiddush and you're not bothered by his germs. A person who makes a kois mali, so it's full to the brim when you're benching. So you get inheritance without borders. So big inheritance. Shnemer Amali Birkas Hashem Yam V'Daram Yerusha Rabbi Yosef Bar Chanina Omer. He's Zeichel V'Nechel Shnei Elamim. You get 2 worlds. Elam Haza Elam Haba. So it's a good deal. Itur. Okay, so one of the things we said before, this was not like Rabbi Yochanan. This was like the first opinion that says 10 things. So when you're benching on the cup, on the Kaishal Bracha, you should have Itur. Literally, Itur means to be crowned. What does that mean? Rav Yehuda Me'atrei B'Talmidim. You should be surrounded by your students, if you have students. Rav Chisda Me'aterle Benatli. He used to crown the cup with other cups. So it's nice to have other cups beside that cup. Omer Rav Chanan Ubechai. It says you're not supposed to dilute it. Or Rav Sheshes Ubirkas Haaretz. You can dilute it. You can start to add water. In those days, they used to always add water because their wine was very thick. You should add water in the bracha birkas haaretz. Next, ituf, wrapped. What does it mean? You should be wrapped up. Rav Papa Matef Yosef. He was wrapped up in his own clothing. I don't know, his coat or whatever he was wearing. What?
Talus.
I don't think they would put a talus on.
You should wear a jacket when you bench.
Yeah, we had different clothing than we do. It was more like, I don't know, something that you could wrap yourself up with. What?
Here in the article it says a headdress. In Mishnah Berurah says you should wear a hat when you bench.
Yeah. Well, that's the next thing, because Rav Asi says Pari Sudra Reisha. He put a headdress, like you said, on his head. So that would be their equivalent of our hat. And just to look Bukovidik, right? Whatever the equivalent of looking Bukovidik is. Take it with 2 hands. Rav China Bar Papa Ma'ikra. What's the pasuk that you should take the cup with 2 hands? So when they hand you the cup, you take it with 2 hands. Raise your hands, both of them, and make a bracha. So both hands are involved. That's why you take the cup with both hands. And then you leave it in your right hand to hold it there a tefach above the table, as hard as that may be. Rav Chia Bar Abba, Rav Yechanan. Rishayim Shalu. The earlier Amayraim they asked, Smoil Moshe Tesayel Yamin. Can your left hand help your right hand hold up the cup while you're benching the benching or the whole benching? Ravashi Hoil Rishayim Iboilu V'lo Ifshalu. Since they asked, they didn't have an answer. Ana Avad L'chumra. So you can't use your left hand to help support your right hand as it bears the Kaishal Bracha while you're benching.
Is it referring to the right hand or your stronger hand?
Yeah, I can see 2 sides on that argument. Usually yamin just means a stronger hand. But if you found 2 opinions, I wouldn't be surprised. It should be at least a tefach off the ground. What's the pasuk that it should be a tefach? So the cup of salvation I will lift, and lifting should be at least a tefach. Otherwise it's considered like it's on the ground itself. You should look at the wine, so you shouldn't be thinking of other matters. So that's why I guess a bencher is just as good, if not better, than looking at the wine, because you'll have even less hesach hadas. You should send some to your wife. So she should get the bracha from drinking the kaishal bracha. You see here that drinking from it is a segula, or it's good for you to drink from the kaishal bracha. That's why you should share the blessings with the Rebbitzin. So the Gemara has a strange story about this. Ula ikul bei Rav Nachman. Ula came to Rav Nachman's house. Karich rifta, he had some bread, he had a sandwich. Barich birkas mezayna, and he benched Yahavle Kasa de Birkas Rav Nachman, and he gave some of the Kaishal Bracha to his host, Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman said, Lishtar Mar Kasa de Birkas Yelsa. Why don't you give some of the Kaishal Bracha to my wife, Yelsa? That's his wife's name. Ula said, Achim Rav Yechanan ain't pre-beaten Shlishim Misprachli pre-beaten Shal Ish. The stomach of a woman is only blessed from the stomach of the man. In other words, you worry about blessing the man, and then she'll get automatically, just however much he's blessed, she'll also be blessed. Shnemer ubeirach pri bitnecha. He will bless the fruit of your stomach. Pri bitna leinemer ala pri bitnecha. So he brings a proof from there that you just concern yourself with blessing the man. So there's no point in passing the wine over to the wife. Same thing. So anyways, they're having this whole conversation. The poor wife is listening in. Adhachi shama Yalsa. Yalsa hears the conversation that she's not supposed to get the kaishal bracha because she doesn't need to get the bracha directly. Kama bezira, she got up angrily. Ve'alsa lebeit chamra v'tavar arba me'adani dechamra. So she went to their storehouse of wine and she broke 400 barrels of wine to make a point. Amr lei Rav Nachman, so Rav Nachman said to Ula, Nishadr lei markasa achrina. Maybe you should send another cup to my wife. Shalach la, so Ula sent the wine to her, and he said, Kol hai navga de birkasahi. Any wine is, all wine is the same. It's all like the same as the kaishal bracha. Maybe I guess he wasn't even giving her kaishal bracha anymore. He was just giving her regular wine. So she didn't like the offer. Shalchale, so she said, Mimaduri mili, those who travel around a lot, they have lots to say. Mismartute kalme, and from old worn out clothing you get a lot of lice. So she was saying to him, you talk too much and you have dirty clothing, basically, right? Omer of Asi. Rav Asi said,
He's saying the cup was used already. It's too late. You're giving me old stuff.
Oh, she's referring to the cup?
Because now you should give something instead of a second cup.
You give me a second
cup. That's right. The first.
Is that what, that's where I'm supposed to
say that? No, but I'm just trying to.
Okay.
It's like the whole thing's an afterthought. It's not your first intention. You just.
So what does it do with the talking too much, though? What?
That's about the talking.
So you're just saying empty words because it's not good
anymore. She's referring to him, the person,
right?
Not the cup.
The ula.
Yeah, but the whole what he sent her another cup. So
right.
What you're saying, you're sending me now the cup. That doesn't mean anything anymore.
Right. Okay.
You mean the crumbs of love.
Right. Omer Rav Asi. Rav Asi said, Ein masichin al kaishal bracha. You don't talk when you have the kaishal bracha. Rav Asi and Mevarchin al kaishal puranas. You don't make a bracha in a case of the tragedy. My kaishal puranas, what is this cup of tragedy? Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak kois sheni. A second cup, because like the Gemara in Psachim goes through in detail, whenever you have pairs, an even number of cups, it's again, for demonic reasons, it's a problem. If you have pairs of cups, lo yivarech, you shouldn't make a bracha on the second cup. You should prepare yourself for Hashem. And this is not prepared nicely because it's a bad luck kind of cup. They say, if a person is walking while he's eating, or he's in the car and he's eating, he should make a bracha while he is standing still. And if you were standing when you're eating, you should bench sitting. And if you're lying down when you're eating, you should sit up and make the benching. But the halacha is, in every instance, benching should be done while you're sitting. Says the Mishnah, these are differences between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel about the way the Su'uda is, the halachas of a Su'uda. Beis Shammai Oimrim, so this is about Kiddush on the night of Shabbos or Yom Tov. Beis Shammai say, Mevarach al hayam ve'achar kach mevarach al hayam. First you make a bracha on the day, then on the wine. Beis Hillel mevarach al hayam ve'achar kach mevarach al hayam. No, first the wine, then the day, like we do. Like the Asher Bacharbanu comes after the on a Bayer Priya Gofen. You first wash your hands for the meal, and then you dilute the wine, which you're going to eat before the meal. No, you first dilute the wine, then you wash your hands for the meal. You dry your hands on a towel and you put that towel on the table. Now you put the towel on your pillow that you're sitting on, and you actually sit on the towel. The Gemara will get into these different things. You sweep up the house, you sweep up the floor after you eat, and then you do mayim achronim. You do mayim achronim, then you sweep the floor. The order, this is talking about someone who ate shalosh shudas, and now you have to bench, and you have to make avdallah, and you only have one cup, and you're makbid to have a cup of wine for benching. So what's the order when you're combining the cup for both havdallah and for benching? So Beis Shammai say you do ner, mazain, besamim, havdallah. So it's like one really long havdallah because you're putting benching in there. You're throwing benching in the mix. So that's where the benching goes, is the second. Beis Hillel ner, besamim, mazain, havdallah. And so that's like our order of actually, is that our order?
No.
That's not even our order. Yeah, so we do like neither of these opinions. But anyway, Beis Hillel says you first do the candle, then the besamim, then the bench, and then the havdalah. Beis Shammai oimrim shabara ma'irei ha'esh. The bracha on the candle is shabara. Beis Hillel oimrim boirei ma'irei ha'esh, like we do. Ein mevarchin loyal aner v'loyal besamim shel oivdei kechavim. You can't use these things from pagans. V'loyal aner v'loyal besamim shel mesim. Not candle and spices of the dead that have been set aside for the dead. V'loyal aner v'loyal besamim shel avodah zara. Not for and what didn't we just say that? One is oivdei kechavim and one is avodah zara. So I'm sorry, yeah. So one is the people, one is for the things that they're doing with it. Like, so in other words, the first one is just a regular meal from the goyim. They have their ner and besamim from their meal or whatever it is. You can't use that because I guess we're afraid they use it for bad things, kind of like yayin nesach. You have to be close enough to enjoy the light, to read, or whatever it is. You have to be. So it's a matter of proximity. A person who had bread and you didn't bench. You should go back to wherever you were eating. You don't have to go back to where you were eating. But how long do you have to bench if you forgot? Until you digest the food, which means in Kozman that you're a little bit full, then you can still bench. If they bring you wine after you benched and you want to drink it, but you also need the wine for your benching, you only have one cup. So yeah, you don't use it for benching, you just drink it. If you're thirsty, drink it. Don't worry about using it for benching. No, you use it for your benching, even if you want to drink it now. If you don't hear the whole bracha, you just hear the word shahakol nihiyeh bidvaro. So if that comes out of the mouth of a Jew, you can trust him, you can say amen. If it comes out of the mouth of a kusi, maybe he was making this bracha to another god or avodah zara, so then you don't make amen until you hear the shem malchus, so you know who he's talking about. Tana Rabbanan, Devarim shebein Beis Shammai Beis Hillel b'seuda. There's a brayso. These are machlekes between Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai mevarech al hayayin ve'achar kach mevarech al hayayin. So this is the first machlekes that we saw in the Mishnah. So for Shabbos and Yom Tif, you first make the bracha on the day, then on the wine, according to Beis Shammai. Why? She has two reasons. Shehayim gairim layayin, because if you didn't have the day, Shabbos or Yom Tif, you wouldn't have the obligation to make Kiddush, and you wouldn't be drinking the wine. So therefore, you should first mention the day, which is the cause for this whole thing that you're doing now. And the second reason, according to Beis Shammai, is because first the day became Kodesh, right? The day, as soon as the sun went down, it's Shabbos, it's Yom Tif, right? And then you have a mitzvah to make Kiddush. And then afterwards, they brought the wine to you, to the table. So just in terms of the sequence, the day became, the chiyuv for Kiddush came before the wine ever showed up on the table. Beis Hillel Aimrim, Beis Hillel, they respond with two reasons of their own. First you make the Bayer Piragaf, and then you make the bracha on the day. Asher Bacharbanu, whatever, Asher Kedishanu. Shayayin Garim L'Kedusha Shetei Amer. If you didn't have wine, then we wouldn't make Kiddush. So really the wine is the cause. If you didn't have wine, then you wouldn't be making Kiddush. Davaracher Birkas Hayayin Tadir, Birkas Hayayim Eina Tadir, Tadir Shena Tad, Tadir Kaidim. You make bracha of wine every day if you have wine. But the bracha on the Yom is only on Shabbos, is only on Yom Tov. So that's a general rule. Tadir Shena Tadir, the thing that's more common, comes first. The halacha is like Beis Hillel. The Gemara says, "My davaracher." Why does Beis Hillel have two reasons? Why is one not enough? So the Gemara says, "V'chitei mahasim tarti al-chachada." Beis Shammai's got two, and I only got one. Al-chanami tarti ninu. So that's why Beis Hillel has to defend himself with two reasons. Birkas hayayin tadir, birkas hayayin tadir, tadir shena tadir, tadir kaidim. That's why he pulls out this principle. Because it's hard to see it in Beis Shammai, but Beis Shammai says Shayim Garin Layayin, that's one reason, and the Chavar Kiddush Yim Adayin Yayin Leba. So one is that this is a cause, and one is that this one came first, according to Beis Shammai. The Yim causes the Chiv, and then the Yim comes first before the wine is physically in front of you.
What I meant was he asked the question on Beis Hillel, why did he bring up 2 points? Why didn't he ask him Beis Shammai, why did you bring up 2 points?
Oh, interesting. That's a good question. I don't know.
I'm saying, that's what I think. The both are right. Two good reasons for
Yeah, no, but you're right. Like the Gemara doesn't seem to be asking on Beis Shammai. But halacha kedivrei Beis Hillel, maybe because both of his really are more they combine with each other much more, right? They're both similar reasons in Beis Shammai. Halacha kedivrei Beis Hillel, pshita dahanafka baskol. What do you mean the halacha is like Beis Hillel? Why do you have to tell us? We know since the baskol, the halacha is like Beis Hillel. So you're saying we're talking about before there was the baskol. Or alternatively, it's after there was the baskol. But it's like Rabbi Yeshua doesn't care for baskols, so therefore we have to say specifically that the halacha is like Beis Hillel. Shkoyach.